This river was dredged back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and the river is still impaired by some of those past dredging efforts.
Imagine 2 steps forward and, in 3 giant steps backwards for the health of the river and the ecosystems.
What we know from studying similar systems that have been impacted all over the world is that it's definitely a bad thing for the health of the river and for the animals in the river. And this project would remove some shallow habitat, including some very important shallow gravel riffles that are used for spawning by many fish, and also as feeding habitat for some very well-known sport fish like smallmouth bass, walleye, and even muskie, a really rare, high-quality sport fish.
If you degrade the river and it's no longer good fish habitat, it no longer has the wildlife attraction to it, it's going to be a less attractive place to go for everybody.
One of the riffles that would be affected directly is one of the best spawning habitats for the state-threatened river redhorse. Not many people see these fish, but they're important to the ecology of the river, and they feed on our native mussels, which is one of the reasons that they're so rare.
We've been doing our best to improve the quality of the natural environment along the Grand River.
Projects that create more silt and disturbance in the river destroy the mussels and therefore impact fish like the river redhorse that depend on mussels.
Dredging the river is going to disturb the bottom.
When you disturb the bottom of the river, you can potentially lead to additional erosion that continues for decades. It's not just a matter of removing the sediment as a one-time deal. Instead, you're destabilizing the bottom of the river, which can lead to erosion of both the shore and the bed of the river at a much higher rate.
So when you think about a large boat moving through a body of water, you know that it makes a wake. We have very fragile riparian areas up and down the river corridor.
When you have a lot of sediment in the river, a lot of silt, you certainly have a lot of nutrients, things like phosphorus, that stimulate the growth of algae. But after they get stirred up and washed downstream, you might see some additional problems with water quality in Lake Michigan. The amazing thing is that the ongoing impacts of channelization tend to be worse even than short-term impacts that we experience from terrible things like chemical spills.